Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co, and today I'm doing an unboxing and rambling for Divinus Chest of Plenty from Lucky Duck Games. This is our typical unboxing and rambling. We have our coffee shot, our knife all ready to go, and as usual, if you are new to these unboxing and ramblings, first of all, pause for a coffee break. But first of all, if you're new to these unboxing and ramblings, it's going to be about anything and everything, from the game itself to whatever happens to be going on. Like, for example, have you talked about the Lucky Duck Games being acquired by Goliath game situation? If you do watch my weekend reviews, you probably already saw that news pieces, and if you didn't, well, you may have seen it elsewhere on the internet, but we'll get into it. We'll get into all the usual things, but if you are here for a dedicated unboxing that's going to go into the exact details of Divinus and how it plays and the nuances and all those things, you might get some of that information on this video. No guarantees. This is an unboxing and rambling. The conversation goes where the conversation goes. Don't blame me when you're surprised later. But with that, let's go ahead and dive into Divinus. Now, I have been waiting for this one for a while. This is one that I covered. Let me zoom out a drop. This is one that I covered during the prototype phase. I had a chance to play the first two scenarios of Divinus, and both things are true. I both am excited to dive into this and actually play it, and also I wasn't quite wowed by it quite yet. Meaning I enjoyed it because, well, legacy games in general I find are a little easier to enjoy. The sense of journey or adventure. Oh, this is a legacy game. If you don't know what legacy games are games that change as you play them. Not to be confused with campaign games. Campaign games, let's take a step back. There's your standard tabletop game. Your standard tabletop game is a game you play, you pull out it again, you play it whenever you want, do what you want. It's a one-shot. It's something that only counts for the time you play it. That's all that matters. Then you have campaign games. Campaign games are going to be games that there's a sense of progression or ongoing, whatever it is. As you go through it, your characters are growing and building and developing. But it's not legacy unless you're altering the components as you go. So legacy games are almost always inherently campaign games. But campaign games don't have you destroying components or changing things as you go through it. So you can replay through a campaign game. Whether it's 10 adventures, whether it's 150, you can replay it, you can reset it, you can restock and go. Then there's legacy games, which are games that in some way you permanently alter the components as you go. There's soft legacy, although I should argue that soft legacy should really be called soft campaign. That's an interesting one. So historically, I've seen the term soft legacy applied to games where when you play the game, something alters for the next game. So a good example would be Oath from Leader Games, Ice from oh my gosh, This Way Games, where, like, let's say for example using Ice, when you finish the game, you uncover a rule that affects the next game. But then you uncover a new rule that affects the next game, but it's always just changing, meaning your game affects the next game, but it's not a legacy game, nor is it a campaign game. But the fact that it's called soft legacy doesn't make sense because you're not destroying or permanently altering things. It should be called soft campaign, which is a whole conversation for a different day. Anyways, with all that kind of backdrop in play, we have Divinus, which is, and the last category is just unlockable content, where you have a game where you unlock content as you go, meaning there is a degree of progression because slowly but surely things are unlocked. Think of it as a roguelite. Effectively a roguelite, you're unlocking more stuff as you go through it. But, yeah. Anyways, with that, let's go ahead and dive into this. So we have our tiles over here. Let's zoom backdrop in. Now the box is not, like, obnoxiously in the way. These are just the various tiles you'll be dealing here. And the game utilizes, well, not really QR codes, but it scans the tiles. It recognizes various bits and pieces on those tiles. I don't know a ton about, like, for example, these snow tiles. I don't remember them being in the game. But the general idea was you're going through a bit of tiling. You're unlocking various things. You're exploring the board. You're going through caves. The app remembers and tracks what you do as you go through it. That was the game experience that I had when I played through it, but when I played through it was a while ago. So this has been a long time coming from Lucky Duck, and it's here now with the giant chest of plenty. Now, it does come with a recharge pack, I think. I don't think I have the recharge pack on the table here. I have the dice pack, but I think the recharge pack is somewhere else. We'll have to find that later. Anyways, it's not that important because it's a recharge pack. It's just more content inherently. Anyways, past that, we have our Scenario 1. This is not a standalone game. Scenario 1, how to set up or start or all that stuff. It's an expansion to Divinus. Divinus Chest of Plenty Scenario is not a standalone game. Okay. This is specifically the Chest of Plenty Scenario. Got it. Okay. So we can put this off to the side. And then we have the actual rulebook for the Pandora's box, I guess. I assume the base game is included in the Chest of Plenty? Is it not? Let's see if it's not, because that'd be interesting. That would be interesting. I think everything's in here. Let's figure this out. So we have a golden rule. This rulebook contains the rules and changes of the Divinus base game. So do we have the Divinus Chest of Plenty somewhere? Is going to be the Divinus base game is going to be an interesting question because so far I'm just seeing Chest of Plenty content. Is the Chest of Plenty just a separate box entirely? That is a separate conversation here. Let's see if we can get into this. No, no, nope. We got that. Let's see what we got. Give me a second to see if I can find if there's an actual Divinus base game in here, or whether I somehow neglected that as part of this unboxing over here. Because this, if I have to get in a base game for this, that is going to be a whole different conversation. Let's see what happens when we pull this up over here. Please read this before looking anywhere else in this box. Okay. Maybe. We might have promising stuff. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on here, so you're going to have to bear with me before I show you all the miniatures and all the stuff and all the things. I like how the bottom tray says, please read this before looking anything else in this box, which is potentially... Let's go through this over here. We have over here. Divinus Shadow of Yggdrasil is a legacy game. Okay? It's an expansion to Divinus. Do we have a base game for Divinus? I don't think we do. Okay, there was a small cut there as I tried to desperately figure out what I was missing, and the answer is just my eyes. So, the way this box is structured is a little interesting. The very top level has the extra scenario for the Chest of Plenty. The next level down, which is the box I pulled out, has the Pandora's Box content, which we'll get to shortly. The middle level has the base game, which I missed the rules somewhere along the way, but we actually do have base game rules over here, so we do have that, and we have our whole little, conversation around this. And then the bottom level has the Shadows of Yggdrasil expansion. So it actually is all here. I just missed the middle level, although to be frank, I'm not entirely sure how. But anyways, we have over here, we have Divinus. Please read this before looking at anything else in this box. Divinus is a legacy game. Choices you make while playing can and will affect the next time you play the game. As far as the rulebook, I don't remember the rulebook being particularly difficult to get to. Again, you have a little tile display here. You can be gathering tiles, place them in Tableau. There's a little altering back and forth between different legions, so to speak. As you place tiles, you're affecting like the god strength. You're going to have the app-driven exploration, which you're going to be going through the app, and it's going to track different things like, hey, you explored a cave. Let's put some stickers into the rulebook. Stuff like that's going to affect the game as you go through it. So nothing too crazy as far as legacy game stuff goes. Again, I'm eager to dive in and play it. Going back to what I said a second ago about, not a second ago, it's been a while at this point. Oh wow, we have full sheets full of monsters and all these things in the game, which I remember doing the campaign. They had all these monster miniatures for the game, which is one of those things you often have in crowdfunding, miniatures left, right, and center. And the only problem was it wasn't clear from the demo scenarios being played by the various people, content creators covering the game, it wasn't clear what purpose miniatures served in the game. So they're selling a miniatures game where the ability to see the game didn't display a reason for those miniatures to exist. I still don't really know the reason for those miniatures to exist. I assume there's a good reason, because as much as it is fun to shove miniatures into a crowdfunding campaign, usually, not always, you need to justify their existence. I'm looking at you, Vindication. You don't need a single miniature. Great game, but you don't need a single miniature. Anyways, so over here, don't read any further until the app directs you to a specific segment, so I guess I won't, but these are all different, aspects or mechanics of the game. But it doesn't look that much. You're only reading up to page 26, and a lot of that is straight up missing rules or sections, so it does look fairly straightforward. Again, I remember being a light, accessible tile-laying game, where a big part of it, which is going to make for an awkward unboxing, honestly, is that there's boxes of stuff that we can uncover. There's not that much I can show you here. You see, it's funny, I recently got my hands on 7th Citadel, and I would first put it into my pile of games to unbox. I have a few unboxings coming. I have one for Slay the Spire, I have one for Black Rose Wars Rebirth, and I was debating doing 7th Citadel, but then I was like, you know what? It would just be me showing you cards the entire video, which feels a little boring. There's only so much you can show sometimes. Sometimes you want to really focus on, well, miniatures, honestly, which I guess we will show you miniatures, so there is that redeeming quality. But other times, there's not a lot to show, and with a legacy game, where I don't want to open the sticker sheets, it says, do not open until instructed. The app will tell you when to look at these. Of course, I'm immediately going to... I won't show you. Okay. I won't show you. There's nothing. It's not... I want to take a look and see if it's interesting enough to show you. Keep in mind, I have, this front sheet. I've already seen some of it from the first time I played it. Some of it. Other stuff's new, but hey. Anyways, we got our rulebook, we got our these, and then I guess we'll show you some of the content you have in here without showing you the content we have in here. So we have this box over here, and this is the tricky part. I don't even know if I can show it to you. I mean... I guess I won't, but it's just an awkward unboxing. I guess I won't show it to you only because I don't know if it's a secret, but it wasn't that impressive. Don't be too impressed by that box. We have an individual player box over here for the various factions or whatnot, the various characters you're going to control. These should have some dice in here. You're going to have stickers you can put onto the box and track them. Here we go. Here's our giant little dice over here. These, okay, where's our dice set? I had a dice set somewhere. There we go. Here's our extra dice set. Is that what it is? Is this just extra dice? To use this Divinus dice pack to play expansion and standalone scenarios without resetting base game dice. Interesting. So I guess in some way the expansion and standalone scenarios... Oh, that's right, because I think you label your dice in different ways with stickers. I think. So you can now... I guess. I'm guessing that's what it is. So these dice aren't special. They're just more dice, which is not inherently a bad thing. But yeah, these boxes, all they have right now is dice. I'm excited to dive into it. I'm excited to dive into so many things. It's just an issue of time and attention. Right now, I was just taking notes for my week, okay? So ready for my week? My week's always changing in terms of which games I have to play. I finally finished playing through, I played through some Euthia, I played through some Epochs, Course of Civilizations, which I saw a comment in my video saying, hey, another person doesn't know how to pronounce Epoch. And in the video itself, I commented, Epoch is region dependent. In some places it's pronounced epic, other places it's pronounced epoch. It does depend. I pronounce it epoch because if you want to say epic, just write epic. This is like the GIF versus GIF competition all over again. And to be clear, it's clearly GIF. The creator said so. And people are like, but it's graphics interface. I don't care. The creator said so. The person who came up with the acronym calls it a GIF. That counts for more to me. Past that, we have a bunch of these boxes over here. I'm not going to get into a whole conversation war about, GIF versus GIF in the comments. We have a lot of these boxes, which I'm not going to show you because there's precisely 12 of these boxes over here. I guess I could show you this. There we go. 12 boxes over here, in here, that are going to give you those. We have this box over here, and then we're going to put these guys back into this section. And then past that, I guess other things will be revealed as we go through it, but I don't have enough information yet about those things. I could put the dice... I'm hesitant to dump the dice in here yet, but you know what? I'm going to put the dice into there. Not because I have to, but because I want to. I don't want to have this separate thing to deal with over here. So we're going to put the dice in here, and if you're like, but how could you do that? There's space. That's what I'll say. I'll say there's space. There we go. Problem solved. Until later. But this is now garbage, and this is not openable, so we're good there. Okay, so we made some progress in the resetting of this box. I guess I'll show you the next level below, now that we've done that, because now that we've at least found out that there is a game in this box. I was worried that there's supposed to be a separate base game package separately, and I was like, this unboxing is going to be really short, because I'm going to have to reset it, find a base game, and then tell you that, hey, by the way, we're going to restart the unboxing with a de-shrink box. Fortunately, I do not have to do that. But I for a second there, I thought I was going to. Okay, we're going to push this down over here. Now, I do like this chest of plenty overall. Well, except for the part where this is not clipping into place. We have to take this out anyway. Let's go ahead and take this out. Because this has to be... Okay. Did the sticker pack go on top? That's possible. Maybe, because then this will go in here nicely. There we go. Maybe it's just sticker pack one on top of that. And I think, is there a difference in siding? I don't think so. But it doesn't want to go down. Oh, no, it's down. Nope, it's not down. It's down. It's down. It's down. It's not it's not clipping permanently shut. Maybe it's supposed to be this way. Yeah, it is. I can see that now. I see the mistake I made. It's definitely supposed to be that way. There's actually a difference in the orientation. Anyways, on to the next level over here, and then we'll come back to the miniatures at the end, because usually I do the miniatures at the end. Now, again, this next level, to a certain extent, silica gel, you have seen this next level to a certain extent because I was desperately trying to search for an actual base game, and instead I found the Shadow of Yggdrasil expansion. So, we're going to have the Shadow of Yggdrasil expansion. This is going to be an expansion, shockingly enough. It's a digital hybrid, 8 scenario, infinitely playable. So, I mean, it seems like it's... After playing through the campaign, you can either start playing Eternal Mode, or you can reset the game using a recharge pack, not including the game. Oh, that's just in general when you're done. So, I guess, is it a continuation? It only contains the new rules. Sticker sheets, it's not a standalone game. Yeah. I don't know. I think it might be an entirely separate, starting from scratch legacy game, using the same system. I guess that's where we're using the tiles, the different tiles in here. The more, snow-based tiles. Maybe, because that's what it looks like we're looking at over here. Anyways, God card differences, map tile differences, has 2 slots for icons, okay. Same basic stuff to a degree, although same but different. Let's call it same but different. More rules, but it only contains the rules differences, so it's inherently shorter. And then we have Loki and Hel and Thor and Freya. God values on these guys, game end. So again, nothing crazy over here. Just more stuff to dive into when you're done with, Divinus. Then we have our sticker sheets, which this time I will not open. And then we have more boxes. So we have more boxes over here. Oh, these are where the dice can go. Okay, so I'm not going to reset it now, but these don't shake. which means this is where the dice can go in this one. And then we have these over here, these boxes, 8 boxes over here, so maybe those are the 8 scenarios we're going to be diving into. I guess each of those boxes is a scenario. That makes sense. That checks out. And then we're going to go ahead and put this box top on here, and hoping to get the right orientation. This one does not look, it requires directional orientation. We're going to put this back in our box. We're going to put the, I guess we should put, oh, give me a second. We got another silica gel pack, and this is going to have to drop down in there. Just push that in and put the middle tier in without the knife hurting anyone. And then finally, we can look at all the miniatures that you're here for. Some of you are here for. That. The way those go in, because it's hard to get them in properly, the whole lid comes off each time. But either way, we can deal. And we do have one more thing at the end. I guess I could show you now. Let's show you now. Let's show you the miniatures at the very end. It's going to be a shorter unboxing than I possibly thought. But anyways, going back to my original thoughts on the game, which I still haven't managed to finish. I enjoyed Divinus. I was not blown away by it, but I enjoyed it. The problem is, it is a fairly expensive, or at least the Kickstarter game, or GameFound game, was a fairly expensive game for a game that you're not blown away with. But I enjoy legacy games. I enjoy playing through them. I enjoy, like, campaign games are not as much my jam. Meaning, I like them. I don't always find myself finishing them just because of time constraints or focus and attention constraints. Meaning I play a lot of games for this hobby, for both my own interest and love of the hobby, and also for the channel. I play a lot of games which means I'm bouncing around, which means anything that requires 70 games to play through is just harder to do. Versus legacy games often require between 10 to 20 games, and that's a much more manageable number. I've finished most legacy games I've played, sometimes some of them multiple times. Over here, we got our playmat art. Let's zoom out just a drop so you can see it. There we go. So, playmat art over here for the various characters. You know, these are just going to be the places where you can host your tiles in the game. So you're going to basically have your tiles in the game, and you can place your own little board on here. So you have a nice, fun backdrop of your characters featuring the art of the game, which the art is great. I do like the art overall. I like the production overall. My only question is, what kind of legacy game will this be? Is this a legacy game that I play once and move on from? Don't yet know. Is it a legacy game where I'm inclined to play the expansion? I don't yet know. Is it a legacy game that I play 3 times and I'm like, you know what, honestly, it's just not good enough to maintain my interest and I have other things pulling me in different directions? I don't yet know. Those are all things I'm going to find out, and you will get a review of Divinus at some point. A full review, meaning by full review, to clarify, my last review of Divinus was a prototype review that was given after, what was it, 2 plays or something like that? 2 gameplays? I remember this just goes to the nature of the YouTube space and not everyone always knowing everything. Divinus has been delivering to people in the past few months, and so that gives renewed interest to people. And then also there's a retail version. You can get your hands on a retail version of the game as well, which is far cheaper, more affordable. You get a little less of the bling, but, you know, you get the game at a cheaper price point. I got a comment on my prototype review, because I gave a prototype first impressions, and the comment I got was basically said, why bother covering this? Like, why bother covering the game without finishing it? Why would you do that? Like, why not just finish the game? Why not just finish the game and then cover it? And that's a reasonable question. It's a very reasonable question. And the person seemed frustrated. The way they conveyed it was a little less reasonable. Their question was reasonable, but they were a little more aggressive in the language. And the problem with that is that they don't necessarily realize that I had a preview copy of the game that only had 2 scenarios. So in order to give people who are interested in buying the game whatever information I could at the time, I was giving it based on the only thing I had. It was a prototype review. It was a review of what we had access to at the time. That's why it's a first impressions, because it was not a full... No prototype review is ever a final review. Things can change, things do change. But often, things don't change too. But sometimes you only have access to a certain amount of content, which is why I'll try to call it first impressions when I feel it's more first impressions, and I'll call it review when I feel it's more review, even though prototypes are always inherently not a finished thing. But of course, in the video itself, I'll still say prototype, rules, components, subject to change, all that. But anyways, yeah, it's a reasonable question until you realize there is no more content. But going back to what I said, when I'm done playing through Divinus, I will cover the game with another review. Now, that review is either going to be, I finished Divinus, probably not the expansion, because I find when I wait for expansions, the reviews end up being 2 years late. I'll probably try to play through the base game, and then when I finish the base game, I'll be like, here's a review. Or alternatively, if I give up at any point, I'll review it at that point too. Granted, I have to play at least more than 2 scenarios, otherwise you could just look at my last review. But, like, if I play, like, 6 scenarios and I'm like, you know what, I don't care enough to finish it, I will still cover the game and tell you where I'm up to and why I didn't finish it. But that's also reflects on the game to a degree. If I don't have the interest in finishing it in a genre where I generally finish it, that speaks to itself to a degree. And if the game takes 10 scenarios to enjoy and I only got up to scenario 6, I think it's a flaw in the game. I remember at one time, I reviewed a game. I can't remember what game it was. Or maybe it was Innovation. And I was positive on the game. I liked Innovation, but I gave some critiques. And someone commented, I think one of the critiques I gave was that it's hard to track all the cards. And they're like, oh, somebody commented that they have no problem tracking the cards. They said, oh, it's probably because you haven't played it enough yet. Like, you know, I've played it like 100 plus times and I have no problem tracking all the cards. And I was like, if a game requires you to play it 100 plus times to get to that point, it's still a critique. It doesn't mean the game's not good. I love Innovation. I think Innovation is fantastic. But it's still a critique. I remember I had a similar complaint on Twilight Struggle once. I compared Twilight Struggle to Watergate, and I prefer Watergate. And someone's like, oh my gosh, Twilight Struggle really needs a lot of plays to appreciate it. And I was like, yeah, I've played it like 10 plus times. And they're like, no, you need to play it like 50 plus times to appreciate it. And I was like, again, a flaw in the game. And I still think Twilight Struggle is good. I just think Watergate's better. Anyways, we have miniature time. Long awaited. The final miniatures over here. These are all the things that are for the game that you didn't necessarily need. We have lots of small miniatures and large miniatures. Let's show you what we got. We're going to have to zoom in over here on our camera because some of these miniatures are tiny, frankly. So, we got miniatures over here. We got little boats, a few of those. I won't show you repeat things over here. I'll try to avoid it at least. We have a tiny miniature. It doesn't have a lot of detail. Now, it is very small, but honestly, I mean, it's a small miniature, but not a lot of detail. We have another small miniature and another small miniature. There's going to be a lot of small miniatures. The scale here is definitely on the small side. The overall production looks very nice. We got a killed beast over here. But the overall production does look nice, but these miniatures are definitely on the small side with the scale problems that would come with that. We do have more medium-sized miniatures. Let's show you all the small miniatures first. Let's get all the small miniatures out of the way because we have a bunch of them. So we got more of these torchbearer type people. And I don't even know which ones are characters or our characters even represented. I don't know the miniature necessity in the game. Like, in the game, you didn't need a character or a miniature to represent that character. So if these represent the characters, that could well be. But, like, it just wasn't... I mean, the detail's not great. It's appropriate for the size and scaling, but the practical reality is if you're looking for great quality miniatures, these are not them, at least not yet. Look at these over here. Like, again, it's not bad. It's just I'm not impressed by them. If you're sitting here waiting for the miniatures, again, Legacy game, I don't know how much I really care, because as much as every Legacy game will tout, you know, hey, this is infinitely replayable after you're done, I so far haven't played any. Even the Ticket to Ride Legends of the West, which I think does have a compelling reason to replay compared to others, still haven't replayed it since I finished it. So I don't know if that's for me or not. I should do Ticket to Ride. I want to do that. Anyways, I want to play Ticket to Ride Legends of the West again because it's a fun game. So let's go ahead and find some medium-sized miniatures. The details are better, as you'd expect. They're more heft to them. Let's go ahead and show you some of these. Let's zoom out. So details are a drop better in these guys. They're more medium on their sizing. Again, not amazing, not blown away, but better. I like that base. That is a nice base. That's a nice touch because that's the Minotaur, and that's the Minotaur's maze. I wonder if that's an actual solvable maze, but I don't care enough to do that. But that is a fun little touch over there. Let's find you some more medium-sized miniatures. And then we have like 4 large miniatures at the end of this. So we have a little hippogriff. Is that what it is? Griffin, hippogriff? I never really know. What is the difference between a hippogriff and a griffin? Like, one is a hippogriff and griffin. Like, a griffin's a lion and a pegasus or something like that? Or, I don't know. This is Googleable information, obviously. And again, miniature detail is better here. Not blown away, but definitely better. No complaints on there. That's when we start moving. Small miniatures are hard. You know who's done small miniatures right? I love them or hate them, but Mythic Games. Mythic Games, for all their problems, they were able to produce great miniatures. And obviously, there'll be a lot of people in the comments who admit, no, what's the right word? There'll be a lot of people in the comments who understandably, the word I'm looking for, who understandably will be like, well, yeah, when you mismanage your projects, you can get great miniatures. And I don't disagree with that. So, whatever reason they were able to do them, I agree there's question marks there, but Mythic Games always had great miniatures, even when they did, what do they call it, heroic scale? Heroic scale is such a funny term because it's basically, heroic scale is the ideal that you make your miniature so small that it makes everything else seem big by comparison. So for example, we'll show you at the end of this, because I got some more miniatures to show you, but we'll take one of the small heroes and compare it to one of the more medium size, and it does look heroic, as opposed to having like a miniature this size fighting a giant monster this size. If you take the miniature and squeeze it down, now you have this size fighting this size, and the scaling looks more heroic, because you can't always, if you otherwise have it like this and like this, you can't always take this guy and make him larger. There's a limit to how many huge miniatures you can have in any game. And sure, Simon tries to do it here and there. They try to take whatever, giant miniatures they can, but even they can only do like a few giant miniatures per game that they're trying to, show or whatnot. Which brings us to those giant miniatures. Let's go ahead and show you them in what I think is most to least impressive, least to most impressive. So we have this guy who's lugging a giant ship on his back. And again, this is the thing. That ship looks more proportional. It's not proportional, but it looks more proportional when you have a miniature that is this size on the ship. Now, again, granted, that miniature is still too large. Again, that's where you go to like appropriate dynamic scale and whatnot. But this guy facing off against this guy does look cooler because this guy's smaller. It would look even cooler if they were even tinier and smaller facing up. Yeah, I will destroy you. But yeah, that's basically a giant ship on its back, and this guy would have to be like, I don't know, a third the size to be real heroic scale. But you always have the trade-offs. No matter what you do, unless you can make this guy really appropriately sized, there's always going to be some degree of trade-off. Then we have this guy. Is it Chiron? I think it's always pronounced Chiron. I think. I don't know. I don't know the pronunciation. These are things I read in books, and I don't watch enough Percy Jackson to know the correct pronunciation of... Maybe if I read Hercules, watched Hercules, that might work. Then we have these guys. Various Hydra-type creatures. We have an actual Hydra-type creature. It's a full-on Hydra with multiple heads, which is fine. There's so many. I don't know. This miniature fatigue is a thing. And then we have this guy who looks cool, but, you know, does the job. Miniature fatigue is a real concept. I don't know if it's a, actual defined concept, but it's certainly a real concept in my head, I guess. Because miniature fatigue is the idea that you see enough miniatures, you unbox enough games, and it's harder for, like, these cool miniatures to be like, ooh la la, look how amazing they are. And it's not to say they're not amazing. They are amazing to a degree, but, like, you get to a certain point where you're like, okay, but now what? Like, what are you doing? Like, why are you so special from all the games out there when your miniatures are, they're good looking, but I've seen lots of good looking miniatures. And this is where some companies do have an edge. Like I said, Mythic Games always had an edge. CMON generally still has a pretty solid edge. Their stuff ranges from game to game as to how good it is, but their stuff is pretty good. But there's another company that has really good miniatures. Awakened Realms generally has very good miniatures, but that's not who I'm thinking of. Who has great miniatures? It was Mythic Games was one company. Ludus Magnus Studios. Ludus Magnus Studios and Mythic Games are two of the companies that had the best miniatures, although I do find Mythic Games, again, doesn't really count anymore, so there is that. But that's what we have. That's your Divinus Chest of Plenty unboxing. Not the most exciting unboxing, I'll grant you that, but that's because I can't show you things in a Legacy game. It is more exciting than the 7th Citadel unboxing would be, so at least we have that going for us. I will be diving into this, hopefully sooner rather than later. Oh, I was going to tell you, halfway through the video I was telling you the games that are on my plate. So just the notes that I have personally for games I'm trying to dive into. Primal, which I read the rules and I'm prepped and ready to go, but I have to start playing it. We have Primal, we have Rove, that's going to be an upcoming crowdfunding campaign. There's Project Ironwood, or Ironwood, whatever it is, from not Tricerion Games, from who does Tricerion? Who does Tricerion? They do Mind Clash. So Ironwood, I need to play more of that. I've already played it, but I need to play it more. There's more games. There's a whole bunch of games on my table that I'm trying to play through for, like, just to cover games. These are all games I want to play, but they're games I need to cover too. But there's more, but I don't know, I have a whole list somewhere. But these are just some of the things I'm hoping to play today or this week or whenever. Anyways, that is Divinus Chest of Plenty. I hope you enjoyed the video. Until next time, I'm Alex Radical from Board Game Co. And as always, I hope you have a good one.